hear that you've had like a week to figure out what your game plan is going to be. You know what my team's going to be. I don't know what your team's going to be.
Just going live, everybody. So just to let everybody know, I'm currently in Discord chat with both of the finalists, both obviously Mr. Tinyface with his dwarves and Dan with his vampires. So yeah, good luck to both of you tonight. Anything that you want to say on chat before I bugger off and leave you two to it?
Oh.
Says the two-time reigning champion.
Yeah, with 500,000 in inducements. I know the wizard's coming. I'm expecting a chef, but we'll see. Anything past that. Right, I got 7 seconds left on my inducement screen, so we'll give Dan time to concentrate and pull out his checkbook.
It really is a checkbook. Right, let's go.
I'm not going to say anything else that I expect, but I'm wondering how correct I am. I got 7 seconds left on my inducement screen. So.
Apologies for the feedback there. I was putting Twitch onto my phone to make sure it's working, which it is. So I am going to leave both of you to it now, guys. So what I might do at the end of the game, if you're both happy for me to, is just jump in the Discord chat and have a quick chat with you both at the end.
You bet.
Cool. Are you sure you're okay with that, Dan, or are you concerned you might have your head in your hands by then?
I think I'll have my head in my hands by half time. I should have composed myself by the time it's full time.
Cool. Excellent.
So I've gone for. Do you want me to tell you my inducements?
Yeah.
I can see them.
So I've gone for a wizard, and then I've gone for 3 Tomb Guardians, all with guard.
Which I'll admit was not what I expected.
There you go.
I was half expecting a wrestle werewolf. Something fast.
Yeah.
Something with armor piercing and something that can take out block. But big guys is also a thing that limits my punching, which I'm sure you are concerned about.
I have to say, I wish I thought of that with the werewolf and wrestle.
Ah, well.
But I mean, no, I did consider the werewolf at one point, but not with wrestle. But the concern was you've got so much frenzy. Sorry, not frenzy. You've got so much stand firm, you've got so much guard that he would just either run into trouble or he wouldn't be able to do what he wants to do.
Yeah. Fair enough.
Is your username Danzypan?
No, Daniel. Danyul.
Because I'm still not finding it.
You can go into the league and just type in bingo and that should show up.
Yeah, I tried that. I'm just not finding you at all.
We're still at the coin flip, so it might be another 20 seconds or so.
Okay.
I'll let it pan out a little bit.
Dwarfs have won the toss.
Lewis have won the toss.
This will be an extreme anticlimax if I can't get the game. For me, you guys will be fine.
Mm-hmm. Oh, it just decided for me.
Oh.
Aha. I am now going in, so I'm gonna leave you two to it. So I'll catch you both at the end of the game.
Alrighty.
See you later.
Good luck. So yes, apologies for that. I was trying to get some insightful commentary from the two finalists before kickoff. Mostly Dan concerned, I think. He's taken a wizard and 3 Tomb Guardians as his inducement, so that is definitely going to even up the bashiness of the game. The 3 Tomb Guardians all have guard as well, so yeah, that's going to be interesting to see how that pans out. I'm not sure yet who is receiving, so I may switch the camera around in a second. But yeah, so for anybody just joining, this is the Bingo Season 4 bowl match between Daniel, who has won the last 2 Bingo Bowls, with his Bayern Munich Vampire team, with assorted Tomb Guardians, against Mr. Tinyface and the Ankle Breakers. So hopefully there'll be more of a match than there was in last season's bowl match, which was pretty much over in about 4 turns. So aggressive, putting everybody on the line here from Dan, apart from the Ghoul, which makes me think that the Dwarves will be receiving. The Tomb Guardians, I suspect, well, I'm not sure if he'll use them for throwing blocks or whether they're more there to assist with having the guard there and just to make it hard for the Dwarves to hit him back. Okay, so it is going to be the Vampires receiving. A very aggressive line-up for the Vamps there on offense, and straight away in with the block with a Vampire. No, sorry, Brian the Vanquisher. Watch out for him. He kills people violently and often. So interesting that Dan's starting off by getting right in the Dwarves' faces and looking to throw some blocks and presumably try and get some Dwarves off the pitch if possible. The benches, there is only one spare Dwarf, and obviously with all the inducements Dan's got, he's got a very big bench with 2 Thralls, 3 Thralls, 4 Thralls and a Zombie. I'm very disappointed to see myself on the sidelines. I was expecting to get a start in the final, but to be fair, I've probably not done enough across the season. Mardy Mikian perhaps should have been with having kick. I'm sure he'll be in the second half when Dan is kicking. Some risk attached to these blocks with the Tomb Guardians. Obviously with Loner and no block. I suspect at some stage soon he'll go and start thinking about the ball. And always likes to push a player up top nice and early. And whether that's actually genuinely there as a scoring threat or more just to try and tie up a dwarf or a couple of dwarves, I think that's probably more likely. Because let's be honest, dwarves aren't blocking out, so we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 dwarves tied up on the line of scrimmage. Another one over here, which is a guard stand firm. So Hypnotic Gaze working there. I'm not sure I understand why he did that, other than just because he can. Interesting. Oh, there's the failed GFI. Will he re-roll it? I wouldn't have thought he would, but perhaps he will. Having a good think. So, if people can put in chat who they think will win or who they would like to win, let me know your thoughts. Also, just so that I know that there's somebody out there and I'm not talking to myself. So, Mr. Tinyface's first turn. obviously initially standing up. Nadrak is going for Dan. Joe is going for the dwarves. I mean, the amount of level ups and skills on these dwarves, and Mr. Tinyface has done a really good job of spreading them right across the team. The Troll Slayers both got lots of SPP, lots of levels. I think could well be key pieces as long as he can. Thanks, Zen. Another vote for the dwarves. So currently we're 2-1 in favour of the dwarves. I'm going to make it 3-1 because I just want to see the dwarves win as well. So. But I think this. I know Dan's given all his usual. I'm the underdog, and I don't think I'll do very well, and all the usual guff he comes out with. But I think this will be really close. If the dwarves get a few early removals, then I think it's potentially going to swing in the dwarves' way early. But actually, if Dan can keep his players on the pitch, then I'm not so sure that this is as one-sided as he thinks it's going to be. Yeah, you're right, Joe. The 3 Tomb Guardians really does give him a big bench, and I think that will give him two advantages. Obviously, one is obviously the big beefy strength on the line, but also as we said, if some of these thralls start going off either from the powers from the dwarves or from vampires eating them, as we see the first injury, and he's out this next game as well. At the moment, not sure whether that is going to be a factor, because I'm not sure if Dan's going to be bringing this vampire team back again, or whether he's going to perhaps start another one or draft some of the players. We'll wait and see. He might give us some indication at the end of the game, depending what happens. And again, Brian the Vanquisher, first block again, doesn't get an armor break, and puts him next to a Troll Slayer, which might be an interesting position, because I'm sure the Troll Slayer with everything he's got would love to have a go at Brian. So. Okay, so I've missed that then, Joe. When I was talking to him a few days ago, he said he was thinking of playing vampires again, but he wasn't sure if he was going to keep going with this one or go for the other vampire team where he can get an Apo and some of the other players that I can't even remember now. This is what happens when Dan's not here on co-commentary. He's the one who actually has all the information, and I just waffle about a bit, really. At the moment, lots of the dwarves are tied up, but there are a few that are able to move about if they want to. It all depends where the ball is going to go. With that handoff to a vampire, is he going to go for an early score? I can't now because he's blitzed. Wow. Well, that is huge. So Stank Johnson is injured. And yeah, Apothecary used, so he's going to be back later on in the game. Because with the lack of bench, any removals now is potentially going to be important in exactly the other way. Yeah, definitely. I think a lot of casualties on the vampires, and it might make his mind up for him. But where he's at now is in quite a nice position. Although these 2 dwarves are free, it's not going to be easy for them to get a hit on the ball carrier without go for it. And obviously with the strength 4, trying to get 2 dice is going to be tricky. I think this Tomb Guardian I suspect won't throw a block to try and tie these players up. Interesting that he's used 2 rerolls and that didn't work. Yeah, that's right, Joe. He can definitely get 1 die on the ball. But if the ankle breakers don't prevent the score here, we could see actually quite a nice position for the Dwarfs, and the fact that they could have the majority of the half to try and grind their way up the pitch and go in at 1-1. So it's not necessarily a bad thing if the Vamps score early, so long as the Dwarves can get caged up, get the ball protected, and keep the Vampires away with that hypnotic gaze. And that's the danger with the Vamps, is a dwarf cage, which ordinarily you would say is a safe place to be, can become a very unsafe place as soon as you get hypnotic gaze sort of getting in the way. Of course, this is the downside with the Dwarves. They are incredibly slow. Here we go. Here's the blitz coming. Just gets a push. That's got him tied up on 2 sides, so it's not going to be easy for him to dodge out. Yeah, that's right. The strip ball troll slayer is tied up, but no, I think he's if he can get through this in some way, and I suspect it'll be via a blitz. I thought he'd maybe blitz one of these, and oh wow, Team Guardian injured, but succeeds on the regen, so we will see him later. Does he do another hit with the other Troll Slayer on the other on Brian the Vanquisher? I'm saying yes. Wow, tries to dodge out. I kind of get where, yeah, I based on what he's just done, I don't disagree with that. Equally, on the flip side, I would have potentially, from my point of view, tried to do something about this guy. But actually, that is quite a box that Countess Anne of Ardcore is in. You know, we've got the guard piece. All of them have block. It's not going to be an easy escape route, that's for sure. The only thing I can think is bring the Ghoul round to tie this guy up, maybe go here and try and blitz your way out. But right now, Danny's in a little bit of a hole, I think it's fair to say. He'll find a way out, because he always does, but perhaps this is the night that he doesn't. And that's the other thing. If he blitzes this dwarf, he's got to get a POW because it's got stand firm. Is that the one with stand firm? Oh no, it's not. Sorry, this one's got stand firm. So yeah, I'm thinking in that case, blitz this guy, and then you're dodging out. So long as you can push him this way or knock him down, then you're dodging out on a 2+, and then away for a go for it to score. What's the Ghoul in risk of a surf? Now here comes the Blitz, gets the POW as usual, as expected, and another injury. Wow. The Vampire's doing some work, so just needs to dodge out, and then it's... Oh, he hasn't dodged out, so I expect the reroll will come this time. And there we go. And yeah, that is going to do it because he can't get to him. There's no one getting there. So unless he hits this guy and then dodges out with a Troll Slayer again to get there on a GFI. Yeah, Nadrak, he's more powers than a Batman comic, as I have said more than once. Hypnotic Gaze again. That didn't work out, but at that point it doesn't really matter. Although this this Longbeard is now free to work his way back, but obviously he's not in range. And another Thrall is KO'd this time, but that's the difference. The Dwarf has Mighty Blow against a Thrall which has Armor 7 and only gets a KO, and twice the Vampires have got injuries to Dwarves. It's incredible, really. So Dan isn't going to be able to... I suppose he can stall if he wants to, because obviously the Vampire movement is better than the Dwarf, but yeah, I could see a surfing opportunity here if he wants to. Oh, he's chosen not to take the surf. I'd have been definitely tempted to get him to meet the crowd. Again, just a stun on the Armor 7 again. But with all this guard, it does mean that he's getting hits on whoever he wants to get. So we can get force the score, but obviously with each turn that goes on, another Tomb Guardian goes down and out. So these hits are not bad at all. So does Dan score, or does he go and run away to the corner and try and burn another turn out? I suspect he tries to burn another turn because, you know, 5 turns is doable for the Dwarves, that's for sure. If he goes down to 4 or perhaps even 3, then less so. Yeah, I think we'll see the Blitz now from the Vampire. But by having 2 guard pieces here, the Bloodlust failed. But he gets the Defender stumbles. So he's going to have to finish next to a Thrall, so yeah, he's taking the score. I think if the Bloodlust passed there, he went over here and stayed safe. So 1-0 fairly early, enough time for the Dwarfs to potentially reply. So if we switch the view around, so still got one of the Tomb Guardians KO'd, but the others have all come back. and just the injury. So the Dwarves are down to 11, so there's no bench now. So any more injuries for the Dwarves, and they'll start the second half short players. Not a surprise to see the Tomb Guardians on the line, along with an unleveled zombie. What they're there for at the end of the day. Take the hits off the Dwarves. So the question is, can the Dwarves, one, get the ball safe, and two, grind the pitch to equalise for the half? Or will the Vampires, with the Hypnotic Gaze, with Brian the Vanquisher, be able to turn the ball over and maybe get another score? Yeah, that's right. The zombie pinched from Oops All Chaos, and yeah, I'm pleased. From a commentary point of view, I'm pleased that the Chaos team didn't make it to the final, because that confused the hell out of me when all the players were named after different races. Oops. Pepsi can, which had enough liquid in it to hold my phone up, now hasn't. Anybody from Pepsi is watching, I'm always open to advertising to get free products. To all 6 people watching. One of which is me. So the Vampires do have kick, so that may come into play here. I think that's why Mr. Tinyface is setting up as he is. Obviously, I think it was Nadrak in one of the games last year where he got set up, and I can't remember who it was who was playing, but the kick was used. Then he got the blitz and scored within a couple of turns, and that finished the game off really. But Nadrak, if you are still watching, perhaps you can fill me in on my hazy memory of what happened there. Again, getting the hits, and again, not getting any removals. So that's the line done. I thought you won. Sorry, Nadrak, I thought you lost. And I got this wrong, but it was one of the games, probably right at the end of the season, and essentially, I think it was 1-0 at half time, and then you set up, and it was a decent setup, but the other guy, and I'm not sure if it was Dan or somebody else, used kick, and it went to the other side from where your lineup was, and then they got a blitz and literally caught their own kickoff. I might have made all that, or perhaps I was dreaming. That's always possible. I tell you, I just sit here and ramble to myself. Yeah, that's right. Dan got the blitz, and then won, despite going in. Was it 2 turns away from the end? He was 2-1 down, and then he ended up. Yeah, that's right. He's the gift that keeps on giving. The other thing, just to try and actually focus on what I'm supposed to be talking about, just a reminder that Dan does have a wizard, so whether he will use it this half or not. Probably will depend on how close Mr. Tinyface gets. So the ball is relatively, well, the ball's safe as it stands at the moment. Don't know whether Dan will try and bring the goal round perhaps this way, especially now that player's moved to have a bit of open grass down this side to put some pressure on the ball and also be there in case of a turnover. Because the Wolves have quite a long way to go in only 4 turns now. Yeah, that's right, Joe. I suspect that he won't use the wizard unless he really needs to, because it psychologically makes you play differently. And that's right. If he brings the goal round with the strip ball and the wrestle, it gives the opportunity for a turnover. And at the moment, obviously, there will be the back door will be closed, but it just gives Mr. Tinyface something else to think about. Yeah, I've forgotten about wizards in the past, Nadrek. I remember using one on turn 16 at the point where there was absolutely no point, but I'd got it and I was going to use it. And of course, everybody resisted, which is always the way. So I think, yeah, here we go with the hypnotic gaze. So it gives opportunity to get some players through the middle of the pitch potentially without hitting too many tackle zones. I don't know whether he'd want to use hypnotic gaze again on this one, but he could then bring the ghoul through this way. It's such an annoying skill when you can have nice positioning and then the opponent can just work through the positions and the lines that you've created. Both of the Troll Slayers are now tied up against Team Guardians again. Will there be any more movement come from Brian? So I'd be tempted to get him out of the way so that the ghoul can come through and probably come round here as well somewhere, I'm guessing. And this other thrall can also do the same. So I think I'd be looking to try and work my way this way away from that ghoul if possible. Failed the Dauntless again with another one. Passed it this time. He gets another pow. So the zombie just down again. I mean, the hits are nice, but he needs to use them to make some progress. How far can the runner get? Ooh. So no reroll for the rest of this turn. So he really needs to get that ball safe. And that is not necessarily an easy thing with the vampires. I'm guessing he's thinking about coming in here somewhere. But it's not too difficult if he needs to get in there to do so. You just hypnotic gaze this guy and hit this guy with Thrall, and this guy's waltzed in. Risky with no reroll, but it worked. He's got to come up here somewhere, I think. Again, risky. 2 red dice work out okay. And with a Troll Slayer, that's not a huge issue, to be fair. I'll just push the Tomb Guardian out of the way. He ain't dodging either. So can he engineer a hit on the ball? I think the answer to that is yes, but will it be a meaningful hit on the ball? And I think the answer to that is not so easily. That's another injury for the Dwarves. So second half, Dwarves are down to 10. Mr. Tinyface has said that he's almost certainly releasing his team, so that miss next game isn't going to be a problem to him. Might be if somebody wants to try and draft him. He doesn't retire. I think at the moment, Dan's probably happy with where things have got to. I mean, the thing is that Mr. Tinyface doesn't have to score this turn. This half. If he can get the score in the second half, then it takes it to overtime. Then it's a little bit of a lottery. There goes the hypnotic gaze as expected. But the trouble is with the wizard in his back pocket as well. Strip ball tackle. There's no guarantee that Mr. Tinyface, if he doesn't score here or make Dan use the wizard, that actually second half defending might be potentially quite a straightforward thing, unless the Dwarves do their thing and start getting some players off the pitch, and that really hasn't been happening a huge amount so far. Actually been the other way around. The Dwarves' armour 9 has looked very, very shaky. So you can tag the ball carrier up here with a go for it if this guy goes down. failed bloodlust, and the failed pro. So he's got to end up next to a thrall. Makes things interesting. That's the downside to vampires. They can be very good, but they can also be not so good. So this vamp's got to come and stand next to this guy. So it looks like I'm getting it again. So I'll probably be injured for the rest of the final. There we go. I'm not saying I called it. Dan has got to be careful with the time, but I'm guessing just one hit here. Okay, he's not tagging up the ball. He's just going for an extra safety. Does he hit the 12 Slayer? You have to, don't you? Just a push. I'll be pushing him away from his mates. So can he make the progress he needs to in this turn? Well, stunned, so he's not going to play any more part in this first half. Can he blast the hole through? That'll do. So he's creating a bit of a channel up this way. If he can do something about these two vampires, he's got a chance, I think. That helps. So the other option is to come around this way as well. Fingers with this ghoul and get where he needs to go to. And these two guys can't both come and help. This one can't. He can, but he's in the wrong place. It's an interesting position. So movement required. He's got movement of 6. So 1. As long as he's here behind these 3, he can make it without go for it across the next 2 turns. But he's got to use full movement then. Yeah, so that keeps him out of range of the ghoul. But he is going to need to go for it as he goes another step further forward. It's a tricky one because he wants to stay out of range of the ghoul, but equally he now needs to go for it on the next 2 turns. The other difficulty, of course, is these guys are all tied up, so unless he can actually get some of these free, caging is really tricky. Yeah, Dan does the sensible thing, just ties another one up. Obviously, the Troll Slayers can potentially move a couple of squares forward with their frenzy, but so what are we thinking? Can Mr. Tinyface get the equaliser before the half? Double skulls into a pow worked in his favour. Got no more re-rolls though. And Brian the Vanquisher with a piling on does nothing. I mean, my assumption is the ghoul will come round this way somewhere. This vampire will come back maybe round here, and the other vampire. Joe, the guy can make it, and there's the double skulls again. So yeah, he can make it with one go for it across the 2 turns, if I've counted right, which I'm not saying is a given. This guy here really is the only one who's going to be able to offer up some sort of screen. So sorry, he can make it without a go for it. I can't count, but he needs to be getting to here, this line just here, this turn, and I can't see how he can do that and keep the ball safe. I think this guy should have gone a little bit further. I think that's right, Joe. I think so long as Dan doesn't double skull it, I think his runners do have sure hands. Yes, they do. So that Tomb Guardian is out for the rest of the half. I'll make that sound like a good thing for the 1 turn that's left. You can now hit this guy and get the Troll Slayer free to offer some protection. Yeah, a dwarf with dodge, who'd have thunk it? That will do. That will do very nicely. That will also do very nicely. So dwarf, the zombie, is out for the rest of the game until he regenerates. I'm guessing the Troll Slayer comes to here. Could really do with a that might work. I mean, this guy's got to get 2 next to him. So maybe the Troll Slayer comes here-ish. That helps a lot. So if he comes here, the ghoul can hit him. Just try and take a thrall out of the game at this stage if he can, with the dwarves who are in the wrong place. Nothing doing. So can Dan prevent the score? He's definitely in range. Now this vampire can get here to hypnogaze this guy if he wants to, which then makes it easier for the ghoul to hit him this way. And of course he passes that, because why wouldn't he? The ghoul may well be served, Giant Zarb, but if it prevents the score, it might be worth it. That isn't going to help him. So that ties it up, 1-1. Don't do anything stupid, just run it in. Don't make any hits you don't need to make, just run it in. And there he goes. Game on. So the Dwarves receiving for the second half, and Dan's Powers letting him down at the end there. A couple of double skulls, a skull with a goal when he really needed anything else. Makes it an interesting second half. He's still got the Wizard in his back pocket, and he's still got a bench. The Dwarves are down to 10, I believe. 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Yes. In some sort of unbelievable piece of analysis, I managed to count how many players were going to be on the team for the second half correctly. So I'm going to go and have a lie down after that. This stream still brought to you by Pepsi Max. Now we're kind of flipped round here a little bit, because Mr. Tinyface, if he is able to score, will be fully aware of how quickly the vampires can score if they need to. It's not quite Elf or Skaven level of speed, but they're plenty fast enough with that ghoul, certainly, and with the hypno gaze causing problems as well. So but a good final so far, much better than last season's. I think you're right, Nadrek. He doesn't tend to use his rerolls, and he used 2 very early on dodges that failed, which I'm not sure ordinarily he'd do. I was surprised that he did. So he's going for the onside kick, and Dwarf, the zombie, is dead. Does he fail his regen? He fails the regen. So that ball has bobbled in such a beautiful place for Dan there. Now he's failed 1 bloodlust so far, that's all, from what I remember. But where the ball's landed there is a great spot for trying to turn the ball over. It makes it much harder for the Dwarves to get this caged up in a meaningful way this turn. I mean, his runner can only reach it on a GFI. So kick really did come into its own there. It is such an underrated skill. We're 10v10 right now with the death from the rock, but while that is disappointing to see a death on a player from a rock from the crowd, it wasn't a meaningful player. It wasn't, if that was Brian the Vanquisher or one of his vampires, then that's a whole different situation. So it looks like he's just trying to protect the ball at this point, and the POW certainly helps. And a failed GFI. Does he re-roll? Yes, he does. Again, I get why he's re-rolled that, but it does leave him only 2 for the rest of the half, and potentially if it goes into overtime, that may also come into play as well. Because whatever re-rolls are left at the end of normal time, if it goes to overtime, is what you have going into overtime. They don't reset. So reasonably nice protection around the ball. Dan hasn't got any stupid agility players with big hand or anything like that to come in and just pick it up and run away this time. I'm just trying to work out if there's a way that the ball can get to the ball. They can hit this guy, and blitz. It's not going to be easy, that's for sure. You'd need to hypno-gauge somebody to get through, so we may see a similar approach from Dan here, that he tries to hit some of these dwarves that are around the ball and just go around the ball himself. But it's a decent pocket, making it difficult for him to get through to. So Brian the Vanquisher straight in with his first hit the second half. Doesn't follow, and therefore can't pile on. If a Tomb Guardian hits this guy, then he can potentially get a couple of players around the ball. We're getting a little bit of a scrum here in the middle of the pitch, which ordinarily you would say would favour the Dwarves, but with the Tomb Guardians in the mix, perhaps that's not quite as much as it normally would be. But removals now is pretty even. So there's 2 injured vampires, 1 dead vampire team player 2. And on Mr. Tinyface's side, he's got a couple of injured. The third injury was Apoed, and he's back on the pitch. So again, he's used the hypno-gaze there, but I'm not sure how much benefit it really gives him. You can bring somebody here, I suppose, but as soon as you come into here, you're then in these tackle zones. He's down to 2 seconds anyway, so hopefully when Dan watches this back, he can tell me why he hypno-gazes the players, because I'm sure there's a reason and I just miss it. I don't know why he's doing it. Does he look to secure the ball first? No. So Vampire down, but not out. Looks like the ball's going to be coming over this side somewhere. Human, although he's only got no protection this side at all. He hasn't really got the players to get a huge amount of protection. And the two go for its help. Are we going to see an X cage with the threat of a wizard and the threat of a hypno-gaze with one corner of his cage right next to a vampire? He's succeeded, I think, every hypno-gaze he's tried so far. Maybe there was just one that he's failed. Hey Nate, you okay? Okay, thanks, Joe. I'm not up to speed with all these newfangled exciting skills. I just try and cope with my orcs hitting things. My gutter running away and scoring. Or in my case, not. There's potential here for a fireball to come in if he wants to and hit not only the ball carrier but some players around it if he wanted. Or he could lightning strike, which is more Dan's cup of tea. Couple of hypno gazes and the ghoul could be getting in. So this might be. Well, he's moved somebody, so it isn't. I'm a little bit surprised actually, because if he'd lightning bolted the guy here, suppose the ghoul could have got to here. This is why these two players are in the final and I'm not, because I do stupid things. And the Bloodlust does fail, so that's the second Bloodlust failure. I was expecting Joe to say that. Is he taking the Bloodlust on the chin? I think he is. And the Hypno-Gaze fails as well. So that was not a good roll for the Vampire. And Thrall is going to get it in a second. Hello. The Vampire off the pitch. And that helps the Dwarves immensely because they can really get some distance going now, and they've got players to screen quite nicely. The lightning bolt is still in Dan's back pocket, but right now, I think the dwarves are probably in a better position than the vampires right now. I'm not saying that's going to be the case in a couple of turns' time, knowing Dan, but I think it does show that Mr. Tinyface here has played the long game with these dwarves, developed them over 3 seasons, got them all levelled up. Yes, his TV's disgusting, but he's got such a good team now. It's the first time he's lost a vamp to Bloodlust when it's mattered, that's for sure. Yeah, I was thinking that, Joe, as well. And definitely, the more vampires that get removed, I'm guessing at this stage he's perhaps thinking he doesn't want to score because he wants to keep the numerical advantage for as long as possible. And actually, even if Dan uses the wizard, has he got anybody who can pick the ball up and get it safe without the dwarves just turning it straight back over and getting it back again? In which case, the dwarves just want to grind up the pitch and stall for as long as possible and do the dwarven thing and win 2-1. My buddy is potentially coming to say hello. He's not had his evening walk yet. Yeah, that's right, Joe. Because even if he then lightning bolts, there's no way he can get to the ball, and then one of the others can just recover it instead. I say don't re-roll that. That's what he's chosen. So yeah, the vampires are out of control. Out of position and out of range. Yeah, he's only got one vampire now that can actually do anything. He's still got Brian the Vanquisher knocking about somewhere. Can't see him right now, but there he is, just at the back of this group. So he's not tied up. Ghoul is always a danger as well, but the trouble is at the moment, none of them can get there. The vampires on the floor would need to dodge out, which, yeah, you'd expect to be possible, but if he bloodlust, then that's kind of it. Elite vampire. Yeah, it doesn't look good, but I think if there is one coach in this entire league that has the experience to get out of this, Dan is the one. But another failed bloodlust is really not going to help his cause because he hasn't got a thrall next to him, so he's going to dodge out and finish next to a thrall. Otherwise, yeah, okay. So he's basically just he's got the hypno gaze, but the vampire is now off the pitch for the rest of the drive. So this is an all or nothing turn for him now. He's been so successful with his bloodlust for the entire season, and it's really caught up with him in this half. So he can get hit on the ball, but at this stage, he can get 2 dice on the ball. But at this stage, does it matter because he can't then recover the ball and get it safe? Did he re-roll the bloodlust? He must have re-rolled it. Okay, yeah, use pro on it. So I missed the re-roll, so apologies for that. This is where Dan would normally correct me for the things that I'm not capable of seeing in front of my eyes. And the dwarf is going nowhere. The ball is safe for another turn. He can get it a little bit closer if he wants to, keep the screen nice and safe, and try and remove some more players and just keep delaying the game. And Dan's struggling to get decent pressure on the ball. Resorting to red dice, and that is what happens when you go in red dice against a dwarf with block. So I don't envisage Mr. Tinyface opting for a score anytime soon, because he just invites the Vampire team players back on the pitch and gives them the opportunity to equalise. The Dauntless fails, but he gets the foul anyway. No on the break, but that doesn't really matter, as he's surrounded the goal. Oops, sorry about that. Really good play this from Mr. Tinyface. He's just making it so hard to get through that wall of dwarves and get to the ball. And this thrall is his only option, really, trying to dodge out, which isn't a great position. Yeah, he was due the bloodlust, Joe. He's gone the whole of the regular season, the semi-finals, with not having a bloodlust at a significant time, should we say? Yeah, he's had a few, but they've not really mattered. Well, they mattered in this second half, that's for sure. So, do we see the lightning bolt? I suspect not, because he can't get anywhere near to recover. He's in a hole. Mr. Tinyface must be feeling as confident as it's possible to feel with this much of the second half still to go against a player as successful as Dan's been in this league since he's joined it. But he's in a strong place. I'd say at this point it's his to lose. We'll see what happens, but it's been an intriguing game. There've been plenty of injuries, which is always what I like to see. And yeah, I mean, Dan's used up his first minute just trying to think, what the hell do I do in this position? And this thrall can 1, 2, 3. Even with go for it, he's still 2 squares away. And that's if he passes the dodge. And then he's just getting hammered for his audacity to move. Yes, Nate, I like to see as much blood in the Blood Bowl as possible. I enjoy watching Aouf's games for that reason. Having said that, I don't like playing against him. Yeah, that's right, Joe. I think four turns with the wizard. He's definitely this game isn't done. If you're going to get down with the kids, I don't understand what SMH means. Ooh, Muffin Chops Breadbeard is injured. Niggling injury if that affects him on the draft. I don't think it does bobble 2 squares. No, I think it's just the one. Failed the Bloodlust again. Reroll succeeds, and at least he's a vampire now. Kind of the other side of the wall of dwarves. I mean, the wall of dwarves will just get rebuilt. Does he risk the reroll at this point? If he's got one eye on overtime, no, he's at least there is now some pressure on the ball. At least there is pressure there. So does that force the dwarves to run it in? I think that turn went as well as it possibly could for Dan. I don't think he could have asked for more than that. He's got 2 potential threats on the ball now. He's still got his wizard. So keeping the thrall out of the way of the vampire in case the bloodlust gets failed. And actually, what thralls have we got left on the pitch? We've got 2 thralls left on the pitch, both stunned and both not where Dan needs them in case he bloodlusts. I'm not sure, Nate. I think if he can protect, then the trouble is if he scores now, Dan still has 4 turns to score, and we know he can do that really easily. At the moment, he's got the numerical advantage. Yes, he can wizard it, but can he get it then saved? But already this is a very different position to what it was even just 5 minutes ago. Double skulls doesn't help. Defender stumbles kind of does. The tackle brings him down. Bull not easily getting to the ball. Vampire can get there, so I suspect we see the firebolt now. Perhaps we don't. Giving it some thought. I mean, the vampire can get there unless it scatters into the end zone. So no fireball. So is the vampire just going to come and base him up? The first stage succeeded with the past bloodlust. The dodge doesn't. Takes the reroll. That does him no good, and he's re-rolled. The pros worked, and that does him no good. So does he push him in for the score? I think that's what he does, and then he's got, yeah. I think Dan did the best that he could do in that position. I don't think he could have done anything better than he did. He's now got 3 turns with a wizard, and he's got full lineup back. So this is definitely still game on. I said a couple of turns ago this was Mr. Tiny Faces to lose. Not so sure now. This is the ebb and flow of Blood Bowl. One stat definitely to be aware of, if this does go into overtime, right now both coaches have 1 re-roll left. Yeah, I mean the lightning bolt, by not lightning bolting there, he still has it, which he can now use it on offense to punch a hole through. So, you know, with the vampires, he's got both vampires back on the pitch now. Hypno Gaze and a lightning bolt, and any sort of hole that, any sort of protection that Mr. Tiny Face had set up has gone. Mr. Tiny Face does have kick, and I suspect we will be looking at a deep kick. Because I don't think Mr. Tiny Face will be looking to turn this ball over and score. He will just literally be looking to keep Dan as far away from the end zone as possible. No, that's on my phone. So yeah, we've got a decent defensive line, sort of 2/3 of the way back. Yeah, I think I kind of get why he's setting up far back, but equally, he's got to go for a deep kick and make it hard for the vampires to draw him on. I'm not sure it's necessarily just about being run around. I think that is. I think that's part of it, but he's also got Hypno Gaze to worry about, Lightning Bolt to worry about. So it's really easy for Dan to create a hole, or probably his ghoul to run through. So Mr. Tiny Face only has 2 turns to defend Dan's 3. He's got a vampire back. Where does this go? So perfect D, does that affect? I mean, the ball's going deep, which is as expected. Does he change it a lot? I don't think he does. Okay, he's brought that guy up, and this guy up. He moves them back. Okay. I mean, the vampires have got the ability and the pace to go either side, even though the kicks come way down here. You've got a vampire tagged on the end here, so the ghoul's right next to it. So, you know, he could literally hand off. The vampire could get halfway up the pitch if he wanted to. So, I think this is far from over. Brian the Vanquisher fails with the piling on. Obviously, I was saying a few minutes ago about a lack of thralls could really hurt Dan with the vampires. That's not an issue now. He's got a decent complement of thralls to go and feed on if he fails his bloodlust. So this has been a really good final. Really, really good. Is he risking any more hits without block and with only one reroll? Still got a blitz in his back pocket. I'm not sure he'd use it, because the only guy you'd potentially use it with is this guy, and at the moment he's in a nice position for an outlet. You bring him in to hit things. Okay, so Dan doing his usual, get somebody up as a scoring threat and pain in the arse in the way. Okay. Interesting. Where's the ghoul going? Over here somewhere? Probably here-ish. Wherever we can reach coming this way. This was the downside of Mr. Tinyface setting up deep, as it's given Dan so much space to work in. But on the flip side, he's also got a long way to go. So, interesting question at this point, as he fails the pickup and doesn't re-roll. Does Dan equalise? If you got time to get your votes in before the end of Mr. Tinyface's turn, just to see what you think. Do we go to overtime, or does Mr. Tinyface hold him out? They can catch if they need to. Can they catch in tackle zones and then dodge out? Yeah, I think that's right. I think that's what I'd be looking to. I wouldn't necessarily be looking to hit anybody. I'd be looking to just get as many people around the vampire as possible. Guess if you're getting down, that helps. That really helps. At this point, you've got to think, you've got to tag these thralls up. This one is tagged, so that's fine, but you've got to get somebody tagging him, because thralls are not going to dodge out the way vampires do. So turnover there, I don't think makes a huge difference. This is going to be the commentary that we had before, where Eric said that doesn't matter, he's miles away from scoring, as he then ran it in next to that. 2 turns, he's got to go from his own goal line, basically, all the way up there. We know it's doable. Question is, can he? And the vampire needs to be within 6. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So the vampire, even with go for it, would need to to be both go for it this time. So this troll is in a position to be a threat. This vampire's very tied up, but can still get out with the agility 4. He has got to pick the ball up. He's always this could be the greatest anticlimax ever if the ghoul forgets that he needs to actually pick the ball up. What Danny's doing here is he's giving himself the opportunity that if he needs to, he can pick it up, hand it off, pass it, and score in one turn if he needs to. So he has picked the ball up. The vampire has it, so he's going to be making. So within no time at all, Dan has moved at the length of the pitch and with a go for it goes into overtime with a re-roll and a wizard. Does he go for it? The only thing that could stop him scoring is snakes. Two. We're going to overtime. Nobody's going to score in one turn, that's for sure. So, Dan, from the position he was in 3 or 4 turns ago, it looked dead and buried. And Dan's done what Dan does. So Nedrak and Zan, I hope that you've not got work in the morning because this one's going late. You did, Joe. Now, are we thinking that Dan is setting up here on the off chance of a blitz? He's got kick. So if kick goes in a successful place and he gets a blitz, he can still win this in regulation. He's still got a wizard. Don't forget. Correct. Yeah, the dwarves are definitely not scoring in one turn. But the vampires, well, it all depends on the kickoff table. So, just a reminder as we go into the final turn of regulation time. 2-all. Both got one reroll. Dan has a wizard. The other thing to bear in mind is Dan has a full team, and the dwarves are down to 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 players, and that could also really be telling when we get to overtime. And Dan's still got two players sat on the bench. He's actually resting his ghoul for this final turn just to make sure he's got him for overtime. And Dan will be thinking, because we know this is how he plays. If he gets the ball in overtime, he knows he can score very quickly with his team, especially with the dwarves being down on numbers and he's got a wizard in his back pocket. Getting a hole to get through this dwarf team now is very, very possible. What are we thinking now, guys? Are we thinking the dwarves will win in overtime, or are we thinking it's advantage the vampires? After saying around 12, 13, turn 12 or 13, it's Mr. Tiny Faces to lose. He's done absolutely nothing wrong, and here we are at 2-2. And I would say vampires are favourites at this point. Yeah, he's playing for the blitz. Doesn't get it. The Giants are goes for Bam. Eric saying down as well. The dwarf does catch it. Not that that's going to help him anything at all. I suppose what it does is means we are going to overtime at this point. So the only question is, can Mr. Tinyface get some of these vampire players off the pitch for overtime? I know Dan's still got two players on the bench, but no, the death was the zombie, which was from a rock thrown from the crowd. Somebody saying hello there. Mr. Tinyface, I would say, I know he's got 2 injuries, but he hasn't had a huge amount of armor breaks that you would expect him to get. The vampires have had as many injuries as the dwarfs have, which just seems crazy. If we look at the bench down here, so there's 3 injured dwarves, and there was a 4th injured dwarf who came back on an Apo. So to have got more players injured as a dwarf coach when you're playing against thralls and ghouls and stuff like that is unexpected, I would say. So what does Dan do at this point? Does he actually do anything? Or does he just say, thanks very much, we'll go to overtime? He's got a couple of players that he can hit, and if he can get the Dwarves down to 8 players for overtime, that makes it even more in his favour. Question to Brian the Vanquisher is the guy you would want to be hitting. This guy just here, the Troll Slayer. Hit him, pile on him, and get him off the pitch. As a dwarf, he's only armor 8. He's also a big time player, the Troll Slayer, with all these level ups that he's got. I think you hit him. There we go. That does nobody any good. I'm not risking the re-roll. Presumably the vampire will hit him as well, just to try again. Tell you what we might see as well, if this guy does go down, is we might see a little cheeky foul from this thrall. So I saw the Bloodlust fail. Did Pro fail as well, or did that succeed? Yeah, I see a little foul in the future here, especially with him hitting that ball. So yeah, here comes the foul. I can't believe he won't. Unless it's just me. Please tell me some of you guys would foul that guy there as well. It's not just me. I mean, he's completely surrounded. He's going to be what, a 4, maybe a 5? Okay, so it's just me. You see, it was a 5, and he didn't get it. We're going to overtime. So I think the Dwarves, did they get it? No, it's the Vampires who got it. So, yeah, this is definitely advantage Vamps. They've got the numerical advantage, they've got the Wizard, they've got Dan as the coach, and they've got the ball. Whatever happens in overtime, this has been an unbelievable game. Nadrak, I just said before, I hope that you and Zen have not got work in the morning, because this is going to go and go potentially. Although knowing Daniel scoring 2 turns, and that'll be that. My 2 dogs are hoping that he scores in a couple of turns because they're waiting for their evening walk. Waiting very patiently, aren't you, buddy? Yeah. I think you're waiting patiently too. Yeah. Oh, they've got a big garden for that, mate. It's the exercise they need, so that then they'll go to sleep and let me get some sleep overnight. Hopefully. Honey's currently looking at me, wagging a tail, just staring at me, saying, "Come on, I want to go now." Definitely need more sleep. Having said that, we're not in the difficult position as Zen and Nadrak of making a decision. Do we stay up and watch this final, or do we go to bed and actually have some rest before work in the morning? You might regret saying that. They're probably more insightful than me, but and just for anybody who is interested in the final loser ladder match, me and Nadrak are playing. I think we said Friday at 8 p.m. UK time. So if any of you are around, unfortunately, as I've said before, my laptop isn't up to playing and streaming at the same time. But we will be playing, and if I win, I'm quite happy to have a losers final decider. I'm not sure if Nadrak would be as well. I think Luke won the other loser ladder. So yeah, Nadrak, perhaps if you are still up, if you beat me, are you happy to have a friendly against Luke as well? Excellent. So yeah, one of us will definitely be playing Luke. If Luke can take the potential beating that one of us would dish out to him, because obviously our side of the draw is much stronger. So Zen, are you going to bed, or are you just going to spend all of tomorrow regretting it? Bear in mind, it could be over in 5 minutes. It's 2 nights this week that we've kept you up playing late with Blood Bowl. If you do go, Zen, the stream will be up and available for you to watch the last little bit tomorrow if you have gone, so you won't miss anything. But don't come into Discord because there will be spoilers. So Brian the Vanquisher, as is customary, throws the first block of overtime. And I'm beginning to wonder if somebody's game has crashed. Because the clock stopped and nothing's happening. Does anybody know if Dan's game's crashed? Dan's game crashes a lot. The other thing that we have to wait for, yeah, have a good one, Zan. The other thing that we've got to wait for is Dan scores the winning touchdown and then in his excitement concedes. Yeah, Dan's computer's broken. Yeah. You're running away. You're running away as well. Come here, then. So this is Connie, who's been waiting very patiently. He's a master something. So you've now got Connie on co-commentary, and Buddy is also trying to join in. Then definitely made the right choice in going to bed. And we're waiting to see if Brian the Vanquisher has damaged Brick, son of Brick. Looks like we're back. So he's down. Is he piling on as well? Or does he want him stood up? Okay, so no, he's going to get in the faces. So, I mean, the options here, I should probably take some sort of notice of what's going on in the game. The ghoul can pick the ball up, get it to the vampire, and the vampire can come round this way. I know, buddy, we'll go out in a minute, mate. The dogs are now cheering on Dan because they just want to go out. Oh, yeah. Yeah, here we go. You playing, buddy? Yeah. So the ghoul not picking the ball up, that means the vampire will be. Not beating me, watch. You're jumping down, Con. Good girl. Good girl. Ooh, the vampire fails the pickup. Reroll gets the ball. Yeah, I'm not sure I'd have re-rolled it. I kind of see why he did. You could potentially blitz this guy and get the yeah, that's put off now. So some failures again there as we go into the first turn of overtime. So KO helps to even the numbers up a bit. It gives this dwarf the opportunity to get somewhere in the vicinity of getting in his face. And does this guy come around and get in Brian's face? Nope. Oh, fails to go for it. So both coaches down to no re-rolls. You keep playing. Yeah. Big pile there on the vampire. The thing is that the vampires can go either way. Okay, so the lightning bolt. Oh, injury on Stank Johnson. So the wizard has done its job. Not like my wizard in the last game that I tried to use it, where he had a stick and pretended it was a magic wand. And it did absolutely nothing. So now Danny's in a similar position to where Mr. Tidyface was about 6 or 7 turns ago, in the fact that he's got a reasonable screen this side of the pitch now, but Dan can go behind. Dan also has the option to put up a decent screen this side of the pitch and go that way as well. So, buddy, no, buddy, no, oi, oi, no. Is Brian the vanquisher? He makes the hit, and is that the hit that finishes the game off for the Dwarves? I know I said this about half an hour ago that I couldn't see a way that Dan could get back into this. Now I can't see a way the Dwarves get back into it. I think this is done and dusted. This has been an incredible performance by both coaches to have the ebb and the flow of the game has been it's been great to watch. We're almost at the point where you don't want there to be a loser because they've both put on such an entertaining game. Mr. Tinyface is putting as much pressure on here as he possibly can. He's still got this Troll Slayer who he can drop back as a safety or come this way to. I think he's going to drop him back as a safety. I can't imagine that he'll get in anybody's face at this point. He really is. The only thing that I'd say coming this way is the vampires have got more pace and can come back the other way. I mean, if Dan puts the Tomb Guardian here, give the ball to the Ghoul, and the Ghoul's gone, and no one can catch him. Brian the Vanquisher hits this guy, the vampire's out, gives it the Ghoul's up here, and that's goodbye. I wish I could see these things when I'm playing because I'm so much better at seeing them when I'm not. I mean, there's no risk involved really. You've got a hit with Brian the Vanquisher. Oh, sorry, it's a vampire actually. So yeah, you've got a hit with a vampire which has got block. So that can't really go wrong. Okay, he's coming this way instead. I think that might be fatigue because earlier in the game, I don't think Dan does this. I think he just didn't see it. I mean, at this stage, there is actually no rush. You know, he doesn't need to make forward progress at this point in time at all. He can make the holes and then go in a couple of turns' time if he wants to. Yeah, just dropping back, leaving the ball safe. Dwarves not really likely to get to him, especially if they're lying on the backs. You push this vampire into here and make a hit. You're wanting Brian the Vanquisher to hit as much as you possibly can, aren't you? He's down to 4 seconds again. And there goes the failed go for it. Kind of thinking that doesn't really matter. Oh, that really hurts. Wow. First block. Rolls the skull with no reroll. Yeah, I'm not sure we say it's Nuffle at this point. I mean, for second half, Dan really struggled with both his bloodlust and skulls as well, to be fair. It's just been ebb and flow and nip and tuck all the way through. I'm quite pleased actually that dice haven't been a major factor one way or the other. I think we've been fairly even across the two of them. But that was just really unfortunate. Double skulls first option there. It works both ways. All still safe. Lots of dwarves lying down. The real trouble that Mr. Tinyface has got here is getting anybody to tag these players up. You just can't do it. And with the vampire, he's going to be able to get Mecha Throw and of course there are no rerolls for either team, so a throw is not necessarily a guaranteed result either. So this is really intriguing to watch. The turns are getting shorter and shorter as there's more players down and the lack of rerolls comes into play. So is this the turn? If this guy hits the Longbeard, then the vampire can get to here, make the throw with no concern of an interception. They're both for agility. You would expect that to come off, and then he's in for the score and the win. Does he risk it without a reroll? Is there anything to lose? Because the Dwarves, the runners off the pitch, if he doesn't catch it, can any of the other Dwarves pick it up with an agility 2? I don't think they can. Made that a little bit safer by hitting with Brian the Vanquisher. So yeah, the vampire will come. He's just put in a nice little protection, so if the pass fails, he's got absolutely no chance of recovering the ball. I'm not convinced Dan will pass this, I would, but I'm not sure Dan does. I think Dan plays the Whoa, Bloodlust fail. That's why he keeps the thrall next to the vampire. We see the pass. Yes, no, we don't. No, we don't. So, is a lack of thralls going to be? No, it's not. It most certainly is not. As here we go. What a game! What a game! So let's just jump into Discord chat and get the thoughts from the two coaches. Hi guys.
Hiya.
So we're just live on the stream at the moment. So what a fantastic game you both put together there. I mean, it was just nip and tuck all the way through. Halfway through the second half, I said, "There's no way, Mr. Tinyface, you can lose this." And then through doing absolutely nothing wrong, Dan turns it around, gets the equaliser and into overtime, and at that point, his favourite. All we can say at this stage, Mr. Tinyface, is commiserations. But give us your thoughts on what was a truly exceptional final.
I mean, I'll be honest, that game felt bad on my end. Just losing dwarves so quickly for no reason. I think only one of them was even taken out by the guy with Mighty Blow. It was just, here's a dwarf injured, here's a dwarf injured, here's a dwarf injured.
Yeah, I mean, you got 3 or 4 off the pitch at the end, and you'd already used your Apo early on as well.
Well, yeah, because you got an injury on like turn 1.
That's right.
Probably my most important player. He's a blodge player with diving tackle. And it's the final. Like, these dwarves don't need to come back. But then another injury like a turn later, and another injury a couple of turns later. Honestly, super frustrating. Not because of Dan's fault or anything, but just getting, here's dwarves. The one thing they can do is stand still and not get hurt, and losing so many dwarves so quickly, and playing like I had like 7 dwarves in overtime, 7, 8, somewhere around there.
That's right. Yeah.
Was just immensely frustrating more than anything else, because it felt like no matter what, unless it was just here's a Yahtzee of ones, it felt like there was absolutely nothing I could do without getting lucky rolls.
Yeah, I mean, you were up against it going into overtime anyway, and then that double skulls first roll of turn 18, 19, something like that. Any hope at that stage that was gone, wasn't it, at that point?
Oh, I am currently, again, not directed at Dan, not directed at any people here, but I am struggling not to like yell profanities. I am upset. I am upset at the moment.
Fair enough. Well, commiserations, you did play incredibly well and played a fantastic part in a truly epic final. And I'm sure everybody else who's watched it will offer you congratulations on how well you played. Dan, how the hell do you do it every time?
Some kind of like voodoo magic, I think. It's. I mean, I thought I'd lost the game. I think it was about turn 10. I made a mistake. Tried to hypnogaze whilst I was prone.
Mm-hmm.
Bloodlust kicked in, and then it turned me over straight away.
Yeah.
There was nothing I could do then, and so I'd lost a turn straight away. And then, from there, the dwarfs put a screen down one side of the pitch, and it looked like, well, how on earth do I come back from this? Like, I could use my wizard and lightning bolt in, but
you've got no way of recovering, had you? That was the thing.
Yeah, and so
yeah.
And as the turns will just keep ticking on, and I've got no hope. I really don't know what to say. I don't know how, in a way, I came back from that. But I mean, as Mr. Tinyface said, my hammer rolls were fantastic. It was ridiculous.
This has done nothing to dissuade my belief that while you are an excellent player, you are also just blessed.
More powers for the Batman comic. That is Dan's. That will be on his headstone.
I mean, I would suggest that this Tiny Face, when you've had a bit of time to come to terms with it, we watch the game back tomorrow. I mean, in the first half, those Slayers, the amount of 1 dice and 2 dice I pick, never got a skull. And then turn 8, when I went to go sack your player, I got the skull. So, I mean, it was swings and roundabouts. So,
I mean, looking at the dice overall.
Salty, so therefore you are lucky.
Looking at the dice overall, they were pretty poor for both of you, actually. I'm just looking at Dan's block dice right now. Dan had 27 skulls, 20 both downs, compared to 14 defender stumbles and 21 pows. And Mr. Tinyface, your block dice were 25 skulls, 14 both downs, compared to 18 defender stumbles and 18 pows. So the block dice did neither of you any favours. And on the D6s, I mean, if you look at the percentage failures on almost every stat for both of you, they were just shite. There's no other answer for it. I have to say, I understand from your point of view, Mr. Tinyface, where you are. I don't think it was necessarily that the dice were bad. It was at times the dice were bad at key moments in time. But equally, I think there were also key moments for Dan where he had a run, particularly in the early part of the second half, where he failed his bloodlusts and re-rolls, and at that point, as I say, it put you in such a strong position, and yet Nuffle changes his mind, and somehow Dan's managed to get through the line and pushes you in for that score. And if you hold up for another turn or a couple of turns, there's no way he's coming back from that.
Yeah, my plan was to try to stall there as long as possible, but I also didn't have the pieces to stall till the end of the half.
No, that's right.
So I moved my dwarf ahead a piece so that it might make him reconsider blitzing him, or consider which way he's going to blitz him, because he's going to have to force me to score. But I've been in so many situations like that where it seems solid, and then one person squeaks through on a couple of lucky dice, even a black orc, which happened in normal season, squeaks through with a couple of 5s and just obliterates the guy standing there.
Yeah.
So I was trying to stall for as long as possible, and then I set up after the score to be able to catch any players he sent into the back half and hope he kept fumbling his rerolls. But there's only so much you can do against like a 50-50 catch sort of thing.
Well, that's right. And you'd got only, I think you got 8 or 9 players at that point. And obviously with Dan, full strength team, Hypno Gaze, Wizard in his back pocket. However you set up at that point, if he needs to make a hole, he's got the opportunity to do so. And it was, I mean, all I can say from both of you, it was an incredible game to watch. And I think you've given a couple of hours of fantastic entertainment to everybody who's been watching. And all I can say at this point is commiserations to you, Mr. Tinyface. And I hope next season, with whatever team you come back with, you have an equally successful season. And Dan, you're a pain in the arse, mate, but congratulations. Somebody is going to beat you at some point.
I mean, going into this game, I didn't expect 5 touchdowns. I thought it'd be a boring 1-0 win to either of us, maybe a 2-1 to one of us, but didn't expect 5 touchdowns for it to get to overtime. But I did know when I got my equaliser, I did think, well, I'm in the driving seat here. I've still got the Wizard. I've got a free player advantage, I think it was at the time.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, so
Yeah,
but
at that point,
there was a lot to do to get that equaliser, because I think I had 3 turns and Mr. Tinyface set up deep really well. I think he had maybe 5, 6 dwarfs set up.
I had 5 dwarves in the back.
Yeah,
That's all I had.
I couldn't put enough players in the back half to match him, kind of thing. So I had to rely on some good fortune to come up. And then when I failed the pickup on the first chance, I was like, great. I ended up on reroll, so I couldn't risk rerolling that because I need it later on for the throw in the catch.
I was surprised you used your final reroll first turn of overtime to pick the ball up, because the ball looked safe, and that was a surprise.
Was a mistake.
But
I don't think it was. I think that was actually because with a strength 4 vampire, I need to put a Slayer on him just to get an equal die chance. I think that was probably a very good idea.
Like you say, I think the ball was fairly safe, but what I couldn't afford to happen was Mr. Tinyface to swarm ball, even if it was just 2 dwarfs. The ball got to stand firm. You can't push him away.
I was hoping in the second half. I assumed you wouldn't, but I was hoping that somehow you'd be able to get the ball into the second half without being able to run it in. Or going for a catch on a vampire or something so I could use my Slayer with strip ball, and I'm sure you were aware of that Slayer with strip ball.
I did consider taking sure hands on the vampire that skilled up.
Yeah,
I took on him in the end, and I don't think it really worked.
It felt like I was running out of gas come the second half, and the instant your thrall caught that ball, I assumed I had lost the game. Because even if I had received an overtime, that would have balanced it out somewhat. I might have been able to screen off to the side, hope for some more bad bloodlust rolls. But the thrall catches it, you score it in, and the ball goes to you. And I in my mind, that was the game.
Yeah,
Still gonna try, but that you could see me making dodges and just doing things that were stupid. But I didn't have any other choice. I think the thing I'm most salty about in this game is your wizard fucking killing a dwarf. Didn't kill it, but that made me angry. That was my last hope. Was I can put diving tackle on it. Maybe he won't just punch him out of the way. And no, just remove him from the game. Just remove all hope.
Yeah, when you see a diving tackle, I just don't even risk doing a block. I wanted to just lightning bolt him, get away.
Yeah, no, with early dwarf removal by like, the second half, or certainly not by the second half, by overtime you had all the cards. I didn't have anything.
Yeah,
really
you were up against it by that point. Yeah, you were.
Dwarves play terribly at a disadvantage, and that's where they are.
I'm going to leave it there, guys, and end the stream. But thank you both again for a great final, and we'll see you all next season.